Welcome back to the Mike's Madness YouTube channel, and today we're going to get into my Monday takes. And a couple of these are a little old. Actually, no, I think only the one is old, the Knicks one. But I wanted to get to that in a video last week, and I didn't have time because I was spending so long editing that one video. And yeah, that one was geez, I don't even know the words. It was really time consuming, no doubt about it. So if I would have not been so stupid and taken forever to edit that video, I probably would have been able to get a second video out for the Knicks deal. But with that being said, you probably see in the bottom corner there that LA logo, and you're like, what is that? Well, that's what I said when I first saw it, but we'll get into that in a bit. Now, moving on to something really ironic I saw at the game yesterday. I went to the Maryland-Michigan game yesterday, and with the coronavirus, obviously there are going to be little, hygienic announcements, the wash your hands and all that good stuff. Don't, spit on people. So, that's fine. They're like, just wash your hands and put hand sanitizer, sneeze into your elbow, cough in your elbow, not on your hand. And they're like, just as an extra precaution, don't shake hands or anything like that, or touch your face, or touch your eyes or your nose or whatever. Okay, whatever, fine, sure, that's all fine and good, whatever. But no joke, it may not have been right after, but soon thereafter, the kiss cam came on, and my dad and I are sitting there, and we just kind of look at each other like, is this a joke? Like, is this serious? And you may not be understanding what I'm saying, or what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, they say don't share the water bottles, or don't shake hands, or don't, make sure you wash your hands and all that. Like, don't touch your face, whatever. But sure, let's have two people start making out. That's fine, right? Have their spit go down the other person's throat, put your tongue in another person's mouth. That's all good and fine. Oh, sure, yeah. We promote that. We want it's fun. Let's do that, but don't shake each other's hands. God, no. Gosh forbid you shake someone's hand. My God, the world will end if you touch. Oh my God, you just touch your nose? No. Oh, you want to start kissing each other, making out? Oh, sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Coronavirus, what? But make sure you don't take a sip of the same water bottle as anybody else. don't touch the door handle. Oh, you want to make out? Go ahead, yeah. Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Because that doesn't spread the virus. But it's like, I know they're so overboard. Like, oh, don't shake hands, do elbow bumps. But then they get the kiss cam up there. I just don't get it. If you're gonna be trying to be like hygienic and promote good hygiene, or whatever to prevent the spread of the virus, that's fine. That's good. That's great. But if you're gonna do that, may not be a good idea to put the kiss cam on the screen later. It's you can't write this any better in a comedy, is what I'm saying. I mean, I felt like I was on a Saturday Night Live skit. Wash your hands, don't shake each other's hands, don't touch the doorknobs. Now we got the kiss cam up here. Yeah. Like, I really don't get it. And another funny thing was, again, in their little announcement, they're going real overboard with it. They're saying, don't touch the doorknobs or the door handles, or, don't, touch the railings, or I don't know, whatever, something like that. Careful not to, don't touch the sink, the faucet too much, whatever. Flush the toilet with a paper towel in your hand, or whatever. And my dad goes, well, how much? I guess I can't get in my house then if I can't touch the doorknob. But it's just, I mean, again, the funny thing is that they're like, don't touch the doorknobs, don't shake hands, wash your hands, make sure you have hand sanitizer, sneeze into your elbow and your cough in your elbow and all that. And then right afterward, they have the kiss cam where you're literally like, I mean, that's literally how you transmitted disease between two partners. So I don't really know. They were not thinking there. So that was just something I found really, really funny and just found like ironic. And, you really think, do people really think about this stuff when they put it out there? Or they just, they get the order from the NCAA or the Big Ten or whatever, oh, well, you have to make an announcement about this. Okay, that's fine. And I'm sure that there's probably some other games where they're making announcements like this, like, make sure you are practicing good hygiene or whatever. And I just want to know if anybody went to a basketball game recently, if they made an announcement, and it could be NBA or whatever, because I know they do this in all kinds of sports. They do the kiss cam in all kinds of sports, or at sporting events. If you've been to a sporting event recently, whether it's NBA, another college basketball game, maybe some odd reason you'd be at a spring training baseball game, have they made an announcement about the COVID-19 coronavirus? Saying, oh, do all this stuff. Have they done that and then put the kiss cam up later? I just want to know because, I don't know if this is just Maryland being Maryland and being really idiotic and, not understanding what they just did, or if it's just like, people just don't think when they're putting this stuff out there. I just would love to know. Now, getting into the Spike Lee and New York Knicks issue. This happened last week. Actually, a week from today is the game in which it happened. So, a little background here. On March 2nd, again, last Monday, the Knicks and Rockets were playing a home game at Knicks home game at Madison Square Garden, playing the Houston Rockets. And, Spike Lee was there in attendance for the game. And if you're not really familiar with who Spike Lee is, he is a producer and director, movie producer and director. And, you see the Spike Lee joint at the end of the, whatever. He's also a Knicks super fan and has been a Knicks fan for the past 20, 30 years. And since he is a movie producer and director, he's got the deep pockets to, get the best seats or whatever, or be the most supporting Knicks fan. So he is, when you think of the Knicks, one of the top 5 things you think of is Spike Lee, if you're a sports fan. And so he kind of is really weird. Another odd thing. So at the Houston Rockets game that he went to, he used the employee entrance. He said in his interview with Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman on ESPN's First Take last Tuesday, he mentioned that it's the same entrance that he's used for years, for the last 28 years or whatever it is, 20 plus years. And so last Monday, again, when he went to the game, there was an incident with security about which entrance he was allowed to use. And this is what he said. I'm going to kind of run through some of what he said on First Take. He said, quote, "I've been using the same entrance for 20 plus years, the employee entrance on 33rd Street. At the game, I get in. My ticket is scanned. I'm in. I go over to the elevator. I'm in the elevator, and it's not moving. The security guard comes over and says, you need to get off the elevator. I said, for what? He said, we can speak about it later. I said, I'm not getting off the elevator." And just a little background, more background here. The Madison Square Garden is where the same building that Penn Station is in, the train subway station. And so the train and the subway runs right under Madison Square Garden. So it's a multiple floor building. And, the Madison Square Garden floor is on the 5th floor. So you get in, you go in the bottom, and you take the elevator up, whatever. So eventually Spike Lee got up to the 5th floor, and he said, quote, "I get up to the 5th floor, and security's waiting for me like I'm running out of Macy's stealing something. The security guard said, Mr. Lee, you have to leave Madison Square Garden. They wanted me to leave, walk outside, and re-enter through the VIP entrance on 31st Street. That sounds crazy to me in itself. Okay, back to what he said, quote, where is it? Here we go. He said, quote, "I said, I'm not doing that. My ticket's already scanned. You can't scan a ticket twice. You can't rescan a ticket." And he also said, quote, I know, or, he was also talking about how he knows that once you leave in a sporting event, you can't come back in. They have the signs when you're leaving, said, no re-entrance or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, if every sporting event that I've been to, they have that sign at the exit where it's like, no re-entrance allowed or whatever. So if not all, then at least most of the sporting venues have that where you can't re-enter. And so I don't know what they were. I don't know why they. I'm gonna get into that after I finish reading up what what Spike Lee said. He said, "quote I'm not leaving," and they said, "We want you to leave the Garden." And then Spike Lee said, "quote I put my hands behind my back and said, 'Arrest me like my brother Charles Oakley.'" Now, if you know anything about the Knicks' past history with issues, you will know that Charles Oakley had an issue with the Knicks, and Oakley is a former Knicks player who played in I believe the 90s or 80s or something like that. And I know he played for the Knicks. I'm not exactly sure when, but he had an issue and he got arrested and was banned from Madison Square Garden. Now, Spike Lee and Charles Oakley are not brothers. It's just a way of saying that, friends. So before you get it twisted, I want to straighten that out for you. Spike Lee also said, quote, "At halftime, James Dolan approached me." James Dolan is the owner of the Knicks. "Approached me and said, 'We need to talk.' I said, 'I don't want to talk about nothing. Why not call him?'" And then he went on for a little bit talking about some of the other stuff that happened, not important to the situation. He said, quote, "Why not call me?" He didn't say this to James Dolan. This was in his interview with First Take on ESPN. Said, quote, "Why not call me?" He said, "When my deposit is due at an astronomical price for my Knicks tickets, and I'm one day late, my phone's ringing off the hook." So it's not like James Dolan hasn't called Spike Lee before, or, a representative of the Knicks hasn't called him before. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. Because again, Spike Lee is one of the biggest cash provide. He is a big money source for the New York Knicks. So, if he's a day late with his deposit on those huge prices, I'd be pretty concerned too. He's been going to the games for like 28, 29 years, and he spends a good chunk of change, we'll say. So, I don't get why they didn't call him either. I kind of agree with that on his part. Also, the Knicks statement had a statement that came out. It was either the day of Spike Lee being on First Take, or I think it was the day of, and it was a little afterward. The Knicks came out with a statement. And now I'm not a PR major. I'm not public relations. I'm not a public relations major. But even I know that this is absolutely, this is terrible. Just, all right, ready? Quote, "The idea that Spike Lee is a victim because we have repeatedly asked him not to use our employee entrance and instead use a dedicated VIP entrance, which is used by every other celebrity who enters the Garden, is laughable. It's disappointing that Spike would create this false controversy to perpetuate drama. He is welcome to the Garden anytime via the VIP or general entrance, just not through our employee entrance," which is what James Dolan, and he agreed to last night when they shook hands. Now, that contradicts what Spike Lee said on First Take. And before we get to that contradicting what he said on First Take, I don't like this part. The idea that Spike Lee is a victim is laughable. That's not exactly how you try to better the issue. That's not exactly how you, try to solve a problem with your biggest donor and your biggest fan by saying that the claim of him being a victim is laughable. So Spike Lee came out with another statement after that saying that his issue is with the owner, James Dolan, and not the Knicks team or the security guards. Because he knows, it all comes from the top, the alpha dog, James Dolan. So, that's respectable, saying that he has just an issue with James Dolan being kind of weird about this whole thing. And, it's very confusing because Spike Lee said nobody ever told him, right, about the policy change. And here's the thing. I understand. If you want to change the policy and you don't want Spike Lee going through the employee entrance anymore, that's fine. Okay? It's called the employee entrance. He's been using it for the last 28 years, but things change. That's fine. But you don't wait till he gets in the building, start something with him, get him all mad, and then, also he said on First Take that he's not coming back to another Knicks game this season. He's done. which is a problem. I mean, so here's the thing. If Dolan thought dealing with the issue like the way he did would be a good idea, then I really have some thoughts and some doubts about his ability to own an NBA franchise. Here's the thing. You're supposed to wheel and deal those big donors, especially when it's, I don't know, Spike Lee. I mean, come on. I mean, that's like if I'm trying to think of another like big supporter name here. Let's see. Who goes? I mean, that's like, I guess Jay-Z is kind of a big Yankees fan, right? I mean, he doesn't go to a lot of games, but so I mean, I'm trying to think who else is like a big, celebrity name that goes to a lot of the games. I'm trying to think. I can't think of any, but if I think of any, I'll kind of draw you an illusion. Yeah, I can't think of any. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I would like to know what James Dolan was thinking. What in God's name was he thinking when he, thought this through? And if you told him, I mean, in their statement said that they repeatedly told him not to use the entrance. Okay, if it's a repeated thing, why did the person scanning the ticket and the security guard not say, hey, no, we've told you before you can't use this entrance anymore. Please go to the VIP entrance. Don't scan his ticket, let him in the building, and then say, oh, no, you need to leave and re-enter. Because, A, that's not allowed either, and they should have known better than that. So, and sure, maybe there's a thing where you could say, well, maybe Spike Lee's not telling the entire truth. Okay, maybe he's not. But here's the thing. The guy literally is a big money sign. So I think, and maybe he's manipulating that to make things more believable and put things in his favor. But here's the thing. If he is doing so what? It's not like he's saying, it's not like he's going way over the top of this. I mean, look. It's just, I don't know. It's really something else to look. I mean, it's really eye-opening when, a guy who can give so much money and be going to the games and supporting the team through thick and thin for the past 28-ish years. Just, why would you start some controversy and some drama with him, right? I mean, so I just want to know, what was James Dolan thinking? Did he sit down one day and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to start some drama with our biggest supporter. You know why? Because that's what a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in 7 or 8 years, that's what this team needs. We need to start controversy with our biggest supporter. I mean, the guy who has supported us the most for the last 20 plus years, our biggest fan and our biggest donor, let's go start stuff with him. Let's go ruin that relationship, because that's a good idea. The movie producer who opens his checkbook every time we give him a call about his tickets. Let's go start something with him, because that'll be a good look for a team, again, who hasn't made the playoffs in the past 7 to 8 years, because that's what we need. That's what a team who's really struggling right now, that's what we need. To run off our biggest supporter, and then in this whole controversy, lose other fans as well. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the game after that, the next home game after that Spike Lee controversy was one of the lowest attendances in Knicks history. So it's not just Spike Lee, You lose respect from a lot of other fans in this deal. And so, I mean, it just... I always, I'm a big fan of Jim Rome, and he always says, saying something stinks or being very blatant about something is not a take. But here's my take. James Dolan is an idiot. Okay. Again, if he doesn't want Spike Lee using the employee entrance anymore in efforts to maybe strengthen the security, that's fine, okay? That's understandable. But there are other ways to go about it than letting him in the building and then starting a controversy with him. Approach him during halftime, which, I mean, he did, but too late at that point. You've already lost it. I'm saying earlier, before this week, approach him at halftime or between quarters. but nicely and appropriately. Give him a call or a text or an email. And it's not like you haven't done that before because, again, as Spike Lee said, when he's one day late with his astronomical ticket price deposit, his phone's ringing off the hook from James Dolan trying to make sure that he's in for another year. But if you're that weak, if James Dolan is that weak, where he can't approach his biggest supporter in an appropriate way, there are two things that I have to say about that. If that's where James Dolan is, A, he shouldn't have the privilege to own an NBA organization because it's not just like everybody and their brother can own an NBA organization. I mean, you just can't. That's not how it works. It's a privilege, and you have to earn it. And once you do, you have to make sure that you have supporters. And your top supporters, I mean, again, you don't just go running them off like this. If there's going to be an issue, then, I mean, work on it with him. Don't just, I really wonder what is wrong with James Dolan, why he thought that this would be a good idea, why he couldn't call or text or email or approach him appropriately about this. And even if he did once, follow up with him, make sure everything's good, okay? I mean, it's just, again, I'm not a public relations major, but even I know you don't go and put in a team statement saying that the claim that he's a victim is laughable. And that even I know you don't go and start controversy with your biggest supporter and your biggest donor. I mean, that's idiotic. It really is. It's ridiculous. So here's the other thing. Relay the message to security team. If you're really that worried about making Spike Lee mad, I mean, congratulations, you've already done that anyway. But if you're worried at the beginning about it, relay the message to the security team. Make sure they don't let him in first. And say, look at the door. Say, hey, we're changing a policy. We're sorry for any inconvenience. This is a new thing. We haven't really, we apologize for not reaching out to you sooner, but we're changing the policy, and you can't come through this entrance anymore. I'm sure Spike Lee would be a little disappointed in that, but fine, whatever. But don't have the security team scan his ticket, let him get into the building, get him in the elevator, and then say, oh no, you need to get off the elevator, you need to leave the building, go back around, go out, walk around to the 31st Street entrance, and then come back in. I mean, it's first grade. You can't, again, like Spike Lee said, you can't scan a ticket twice, and you can't exit the building, exit a sporting event and re-enter. So it's just, again, it's ridiculous. But again, like I said, before the ticket's scanned, let him know. Don't let him in and say, look, policy's changed. Sorry, we apologize for any inconvenience. Sure, that should be a last resort solution. But, sometimes you have to use the last resort solution. I mean, it's ridiculous. It is really ridiculous that, this is how things turned out between their biggest donor and their biggest supporter. I mean, again, I'm no public relations or marketing major or anything like that. But even I know you don't go and run off your biggest donor and your biggest supporter, especially in a time of, especially in a tough time for the organization, who again hasn't made the playoffs since the 2012-2013 season. So I'm really confused with what James Dolan was thinking and why they chose to go this way. But again, I'm not saying that they need to always let Spike Lee use the employee entrance. All I'm saying is, handle it appropriately. I'm sure that's what everybody is asking for. You ask anybody else, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's me, it's like, okay, fine. If the policy changed, policy is policy. Just let me know and talk to me about it appropriately. Don't let me in the building and then start controversy, because that's not how you handle things. So that's where I stand on that. And then today, there was this thing where the LA Rams new logo may have possibly been leaked. I believe there are about 4 or 5 teams changing their logos and or their uniforms this year, including the Browns, Buccaneers, and I think the Browns uniforms may have already been leaked. I'm not sure, but they don't look that different. But the Browns, Buccaneers are making a uniform change again. I think that's coming in April. The Falcons, I think, are expected to make a uniform change, and then man, there's one other team and I can't remember, but it was the Rams as well. And now the Rams, it was going to be either a uniform change or a logo change or both. Now this is the logo that was leaked along with this hat right here. Now the hat, that is going to be the draft hat for this year. And sometimes we have these odd alternate logos for the draft hats. Like the Browns have that like Keebler Elf Fudge looking dude on their hat. The Rams were going to go with this. Now that could be an alternate logo, like the Chargers had an alternate logo that came out that looked kind of like the Dodgers logo a little bit. You may remember that. And a couple of other teams have things like that as well. But, there were rumors of a logo coming out, a new logo, totally new, revamping the uniform, the logo, and all that. And they would be going back to their classic blue and yellow. But, I'm not a big fan of the logo. I think they got to keep the Ram, the traditional logo. And I'm going to get into another part of why I don't like this in a second, this new logo, possibly. And again, this is not the new logo. This is not, confirmed. No, this is an image that was leaked, and it could be the new logo. So this is not anything confirmed. Now, somebody made this image right here of the new logo being put on the helmet, and honestly, that's not too bad. It's very subtle, and it's fine. But I think you still need to stick with the old Rams logo. Here, you'll see it in a second here. Well, on the next slide here, rather. Sorry, but that logo. So again, there's the leaked possible new logo. It looks kind of like the Chargers logo, if you ask me. And I don't know if this is an effort to kind of have a joint logo almost. And they would never do that, have one logo for 2 teams. But since the Chargers and Rams will be in the same stadium for this 2020 season, maybe this is like, I don't know, like the stadium, I don't know. Maybe it could be an effort to kind of have both teams under one logo for the stadium, or I don't know, something. Maybe like the midfield logo, because it looks kind of like both. But I mean, so I'm not really sure what this is all about. Again, maybe that's the draft hat logo alternate. I mean, it is the draft hat logo. It was right there. You saw it. It was not photoshopped or anything. But here we go. Some better ones. People hate it, and I'm not a big fan of it either. But people hated it so much that they took initiative on their own to make their own new Rams logo, and these are pretty good actually. I like these. These are both pretty decent. As you can see on the left, the top leftmost logo, that's the one they have now, which is what I was saying. They need to keep the Ram. They can't just get rid of that. But the one on the right, if they're going to do a revamp of the logo, that actually looks quite nice. I would be on board with that one. The one on the left is pretty good as well, because that gives me some throwback vibes, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But I mean, but the reason again that I'm not so much of a fan of that Rams logo, the other one, the leaked one, is because it looks like the Chargers logo, and it gets rid of the Ram. Okay, that is a classic logo, the Ram. Whether the colors are changed or not, that's so be it. I like the gold and the blue. But again, I just think, I don't know. I mean, if you want to change, I think the rumor was that the uniforms were going back to those gold and blue uniforms, but the throwbacks rather, for the the duration for their whole. That's their staple uniform, their main one, their primary one. That's the word I'm looking for. And but again, that logo just not impressive. Not impressed by that logo by any means, because again, as I said, he gets rid of the classic Ram. It looks like the Chargers logo, and if you ask me if we could, I can't go back, which is really stupid, I think, in this, but whatever. If you look at that, it almost looks like the St. Louis Arc, or Arch, or whatever, however you pronounce it. That's what it looks like to me, and I don't get that, because it's like, you guys are in LA, you're not in St. Louis anymore. But yeah, I'm not a big fan, because again, I don't know, I just don't like it. It doesn't scream LA Rams to me. It screams, we tried our best, see how this goes. That's what it says to me. Those other two pictures a while back, I'd rather go with those than the one that was leaked out. And again, that was just a leak. That does not mean that, this is where they're going. This is the new logo. No, it was not an official announcement. But, it's just a possibility. And I got to say, look, I don't like it. I don't like it. Not at all. I'm not having it. It's like The Office, like Michael Scott. Nope. Don't like that. That's how I am. It's kind of bland, actually. I mean, it's just LA in a really, really lazy attempt at a Rams horn. So I don't know. I just think they could have really done better. So it's hopefully that's not the real one. Hopefully that's just hopefully that's a leak or something. I don't know. I mean, well, it was a leak, but hopefully that's not the real thing, because that was terrible. So yeah, what I want to know your guys' thoughts on the three things I touched on: the coronavirus announcement, and then putting the kiss cam up there. I was really bewildered by that when I saw that at the game. Get your thoughts on that. Again, as I said, if you'd been to a sporting event recently other than a Maryland game, had they made a coronavirus announcement about good hygiene and then put the kiss cam up there, I would love to know if it's just Maryland or if other sporting events have put the kiss cam up there after making a coronavirus announcement. Also, your thoughts on Spike Lee and the New York Knicks, that whole controversy, that whole issue. I would love to get other perspectives and other thoughts on that. And as I said, that whole thing, I'm not saying that, Spike Lee's so innocent and he's the victim and you gotta, this. I'm just saying, look, there's ways to go about a policy change appropriately, and you really have to look for that appropriate solution when you're dealing with your biggest donor and your biggest supporter. The guy supported you for almost 30 years, and he's a movie producer. You think he has the money, and you think, he has the money, but I'm saying, you think they would know better than to go start garbage with him, start messing around with him, start running him off. I mean, what are they thinking? So again, I could talk about that for forever, but I'm not going to. So your thoughts on that would be great. And then your thoughts on the possible new LA Rams leaked logo thing. Like I said, it's not the official thing. It just is a leak, so it could or could not be the new logo. So your thoughts on that. You can put all that in the comment section down below. That would be cool. And like and subscribe as well. That'd be great. And again, as I said in the previous videos, my next radio show is not till March 29th because of I wasn't on air yesterday because I was at the Maryland game, and then we got spring break coming up. So, and there's a little bit of an issue with spring break, and that there's some rumors going around that if there were to be a case of coronavirus here at Millersville, again, rumors, just rumors only here, that they would have us sent home for the rest of the semester. And that's not really going to happen. That's just like a last resort type deal. But if we'll cross that bridge if we get there, in regards to what that'll do for the radio show. Because again, I was thinking about that as well. I was thinking about a whole bunch of things if that would ever happen. And I was thinking, what about radio? I mean, things have been going really well with that. We've been humming along, and to just kind of shut it down like that would really be unfortunate, and I would not like that at all. So anyway, yeah, comment down below on your thoughts on what I touched on today. And then a like and a subscribe and all that would be great. And then I'll either be back in the next episode or back on the air on March 29th. About 99% sure I'll be making another video since then. But other than that, I will catch you all next time.